Hey, welcome back everybody. If you're an avid biker and you live here in Hawaii, there's a good chance you know Frank Smith, the former owner of Island Triathlon and Bike. Well, Frank still rides almost every day, and it's pretty amazing when you consider what happened to him a couple of years ago.
This segment of Sports People Hawaii is brought to you by Kaiser Permanente. Thrive.
For Frank Smith, the perfect day begins with ditching his 4 wheels for 2 wheels.
I like all kinds of rides. For instance, the Metric Century bike ride's coming up. I plan to be doing that. The Honolulu Century ride. Those are great events, huge crowds, you know, thousands of cyclists. But getting out there by yourself is something you can do. You don't have to get organized or anything. It's just there. Hawaii is waiting for us. It's beautiful.
And when he gets on the saddle and clicks into his pedals, there's no place he'd rather ride than up the long and winding road up to one of the highest spots on Oahu.
Riding up Tantalus is a great experience, and of course it's right at our doorstep here, so try to do it every Tuesday. And it was part of our shop routine to have Tantalus on Tuesday.
Smith estimates he's done this ride more than 1,500 times.
Tantalus is a real challenge for a lot of people. I mean, tell people you ride up Tantalus, they think, oh, you're crazy and everything, but it's not that big a deal. You get the appropriate kind of bike with the gears that work for you, easy enough gears. There's no reason why anybody couldn't come up here. Great way to stay healthy. It is a challenge.
It's a ride he's done through rain and shine without incident. Until one particular day back in May of 2013, when it all came to a sudden and painful stop.
We were coming down the mountain. I have my new bike here. It has new equipment, and I think I just misjudged the power of the brake. And I must have locked up the front wheel, and bango, I was dead meat right in the middle of the road there. Of course, I guess it hurt, but I just remember this feeling of not being able to move. I mean, I was just like a pile of something in the middle of the street there, totally immobilized, and yeah, I've broken my hip.
Hey, Mr. Smith, how goes it? How are you?
I'm good, yeah.
Good to see you again.
Enter Dr. Eugene Toney from Kaiser Permanente, Hawaii, an orthopedic trauma surgeon who happened to be on call the afternoon that Frank was brought in.
He took a bad fall, and as you can see, the hip bone here, the ball from the femur went into this pelvis there, and very painful.
Dr. Toney says while the surgery probably could have waited till the next morning, he chose to operate immediately. It was a procedure that he admits was challenging.
Yeah, it was. I think that he had multiple fragments that were inside of his pelvis, and so I needed to approach this in a couple different ways. But one thing I had to do was get inside of his pelvis. And so if you look at the model here, the fracture is all on the inside, and so to get into there, you come through the pelvis in the front and then come around this bone here to get into the inner part of the pelvis. And that's what this is here. This plate goes on the inner side of the pelvis.
Toney says he also had to take a leap of faith and break a perfectly good section of Frank's pelvis to gain access into the area that suffered the most damage.
That is the fracture that I created to do all the work in here and then fix the bone back with this single screw up here. So yeah, it was pretty challenging, but it turned out really well. He has no arthritis, he's back to his activities, and we've been really happy with his outcome.
So just a couple of extra parts.
A couple of extra parts, that's right. A lot of different screws, but yeah, the right screw for the right job.
To understand just how badly he injured himself, all Frank says he needed to do was look at the x-rays.
Oh man, that x-ray was amazing. It looked to me like a totally screwed up home repair job where, you know, you start trying to put pieces back together and more bolts and nuts here and there and so on. But you know, it's worked. Actually, the most shocking thing was how he had to actually break part of my pelvis to get in.
Although Frank says there were still some doubts on a few dark days after the surgery, he says he re-emerged only a couple of months later.
This all happened in late May. I actually did the swim portion of the Tin Man in July of that year. I literally had to check my crutches at the start of the swim, and then somebody had to help me out of the water. But I went on to do the Waikiki rough water that September, slowly. You know, I was hell-bent to get back in shape.
Now push up against my hand real hard. Good. And then your foot come up towards the ceiling real hard. Good. And then push down real hard. All right.
It works.
You're healed.
And now, at the age of 72, Frank says he's back at full strength and enjoying his Tantalus Tuesdays once again.
Like I said, the whole deal worked out great for me, and I'm really glad Kaiser was there to save me at this you know, critical thing. I know they've been great with the preventative over the years. I'm all about that, but when you need that emergency treatment, I just really can't say enough for the Kaiser physicians.
And now, like you said, the proof is in the pudding. You're back on the saddle and you're riding up Tantalus.
I am. I'm a happy guy riding my Tantalus and enjoying the bike.
And your advice to anybody who just decides, oh, this is too hard, I'm too lazy, I'm too tired?
No, man, you gotta keep at it. You know, you gotta. If you're young, you enjoy it, revel in your fitness and so on, and don't give up. You get to be old. I'm 72. You know, keep at it. Yeah, you can have a fruitful life right on into your 70s and 80s.
For Dr. Tony, the results speak for themselves.
It's incredible. That's what I live for every day, and hopefully we can do much more of this in the future. I've been really fortunate to be part of this team here.
Well, I really appreciate them. It was great, you know, and they're real professionals and real experts, and I really, I think they did a great job for me.